Many might have come and gone, but Manny has always held his ground. Not only has he kept his boxing gloves warm at 40+, but he's also won big all along the way. The one and only 8-division world champion left a lasting impression, painting the canvas with the colors of the Filipino flag and his own blood, sweat, and tears. Still, the world champion's far from done. Let's see what's next in store for the boxing star. First off, Manny Pacquiao's the world champion of world champions. The legendary Filipino, who's gained fame in many fields such as boxing, politics, music, and public speaking, is no stranger to challenges. His winning attitude has made him the challenger who's never going to back away from a fight, whether in the ring or outside of it. Every man has his limits, but Manny decides his own limits, and he seems to expand on them at will. Putting his will to the test, the 43-year-old boxer kept himself in prime shape and continues to be active even after almost retiring from boxing. Now for the comeback news that's got us all buzzing. While young players have hung up their gloves, Manny has stunned opponents and delighted fans with news of a potential comeback, showing that nothing can hold him down, least of all a retirement. He's announced this comeback barely a year after he decided to leave the ring behind for other arenas. Once a champion, always a champion, declared Manny as he tested challengers, including his fight of the century opponent Floyd Mayweather. Yes, that's right. The controversial match where Manny's injured shoulder had become a way bigger deal in the face of his defeat to the still undefeated American boxer is a wound that is not ready to heal. It's also left open the question of a potential comeback for the rematch of the century between Mayweather and Pacquiao. Now it seems that Manny's ready to face the American once again in a bid to put the controversies to rest. Whether or not the fight will take place is anyone's wildest guess at the moment, but it certainly shows that Manny's not afraid to fight the best of them. This is made even more impressive by the age of the challenger, 43 and going. The prime age for boxing's even briefer than athletes in other sports. It's decided as much by your capability to give a beating as it is by your capability to take it. Both abilities to injure or to shake off a hit considerably decline as boxers age. Up next, Manny vs. DK Yoo was just the beginning. Even in retirement, Manny had come up with a schedule that was as busy as that of active world champions. But this didn't just include gym time, but also professional commitments in politics and media. You can bet he showed up as well in his match against South Korea's DK Yoo, as the Filipino stayed true to form, taking control of the ring and remaining as fast as ever. We don't just mean fast for someone of his age, but really fast. Fast for any professional boxer. It was enough to win him the fight and also showed off his good conditioning and effective technique. Following up, who can we expect to see in the ring against Manny Pacquiao? Well, the question's of course two-sided. Who will agree to fight the Pac-Man? And even more tough, who's got the credentials to make it worth his while? Really, there are only two realistic challengers at this point, with Manny launching a campaign to test Crawford or Spence. Yes, the legendary champion plans on turning examiner and headmaster by testing out either boxer in the ring. There's only one way to find out if they're worth the championship belt they're putting on: by fighting the guy who's worn the belt 8 times in 8 different divisions. Surely they'll get big prizes if they win, including a money fight that'll set them up for life, but also the title of winning over the Pac-Man himself. They can also expect a punishing fight in case they fall short of their lessons, from none other than the all-time champion himself. Not to mention, Manny's last major fight wasn't an easy one. We imagine that Manny would like to face up against Spence, especially since he did give the Pac-Man a loss the last time they were supposed to meet each other. This loss probably stung even more because it came without fighting Spence himself. The welterweight world champion had to pull out of a scheduled bout with Manny in Vegas last year, making way for Ugas to come in at a moment's notice. Pacquiao got a tough fight, losing via decision after 12 rounds, with the substitute who turned out to be a mighty good challenger. The combat probably played its part in his upcoming retirement, as a few days after the fight, the beloved Filipino legend decided to retire from the ring and enter the presidential race. While Manny put up a tough fight, his 12-round loss raised questions of how well he'd fare against current title champions, now a year older and a year away from the professional ring. What's more, a year's a game changer in the boxing ring. A boxing ring is a real-time machine. You've heard boxers say the ring ages you, but just by how much is sometimes even lost on them until after they've retired for good. A model of this phenomenon is the GOAT himself, Muhammad Ali, whose Parkinson's was accelerated by the punches received in the ring. At the same time, the public spotlight puts unreasonable expectations on fighters, as their every move in the ring is judged by fans and ringside commentators, not to mention by their opponents. So you can be sure each weakness or misstep will blow up in a big way when it's a boxer versus the ring itself. Even without competitors then, just being active in the pro leagues can take ages off your mental and physical health. This reality is even starker when you're already 43 and, like Manny, have probably seen and won almost everything that the game had to offer. It'd be a hard pass for many players after 25 plus years spent in the ring as part of pro boxing. So then, what's keeping Pac-Man going for more? Up next, what keeps Manny pumped up for the game? The boxer might have dipped his toes in more than one sport, but the boxer turned politician's a fighter through and through. This includes appreciating a lightning jab and giving opponents, whether in politics or sports, a run for their money. As he continues to explore his range and take up new challenges, you can be sure the fighter's not given up on life. A big part of his life's been boxing, and though he's served as a senator or the occasional pop star or public celebrity, he's always returned to boxing. Stepping once more into the ring, it shows in his recent match against Yoo. While only an exhibition match, the taller and heavier Korean was laid out on the canvas by the Pac-Man, which also netted the Filipino legend a unanimous win for the match. Even after 62, 8-2, and 12 title wins in major events, he's still playing the game for the foreseeable future. We think it's probably because, at this point, it's not just about wins or losses for the cultural icon, but the art of boxing itself, which is bound to have connected with himself just as much, if not more, than it connected with the audiences. Let's look at how fights shape the fighter, both body and mind. You may have heard the debate between boxing being an art or a science, but by combining the two, there comes a third category, boxing as a way of being. This is tough to put into words, but easy to see in action, especially in Manny's life. From boxing legends to amateur boxer, fighting's been their do-or-die responses to hardships. It's an act of survival and of rebellion. Pacquiao himself moved to Manila when he was just 14, fighting out for his place in the world. So fighting's an act of discipline as well as chaos. Behind the madness of the ring, with all the punching action and bloody noses, is a method that's respectful at its core. It's not about beating up the next person, but about battling your own demons. This is why boxing, or any combat sport's a fight with yourself, first of all. Coming back stronger after each loss, we've seen how continuous improvement is the name of the game for Manny Pacquiao. Part of the reason behind this need for upgrading and leveling up your skills is actually pretty simple. The sport never stops growing. Manny's peak in the game's constantly tested with the arrival of fresh blood. While he's got the best fighters of his time to his resume, every day's a new fight and brings along a stronger fighter. Just as a game levels up as you compete more missions, so does the sports, which can always throw your curveballs as it did to Manny with that fight last year against Ugas. Finally, this is already a victory for Manny. It's rare for any fighter to come out of retirement at 43, much less come out hungry for world championships and title fights. It's even more impressive that Manny, after such a glorious career, is still not afraid to put his gloves to the test. This great exhibition of fighting spirit can't be tallied up in wins or losses. We reckon it's an all-around win for the Filipino champion, whose decision to re-enter the ring shows he's still in full control of his ambitions, dreams, and goals. That he's not letting anyone, neither fans, nor promoters, nor his age, define him is pretty evident in his decision to come back to the ring, coming after it did after a loss in a presidential run for the 2021 election for the highest office in the Philippines. The fighter's return to the ring shows he's not taking any loss to heart. Even a loss, anywhere, anytime, is simply a stepping stone for the fighter of the people. While his big heart and great spirit have already won him pretty much all the titles of boxing divisions in 8 different weight classes, it's also won him the love of the people. His optimism and can-do attitude show up here too, as the champion promises to turn challenger once again. That's it for this video, folks. Do you think Manny's back for good? Or more importantly, can he perform to our unbelievably high expectations of him? Do tell us your thoughts in the comments below. If you like the video, do press the like button, and if you'd like to see more content like this, don't forget to hit subscribe. We'll see you in the next one.